Welcome back to From Corporate to Cashflow. We are Andrea Cannon and Liz Schwab, two pharmacists navigating the process of building time and financial freedom through real estate lending and investing while working our day jobs. Navigating the journey is difficult, but our podcast guests are experts in showing us how it's done. And today we have Caleb Christopher with us. Caleb, thanks so much for joining.
Thanks. It's an honor. It's always fun to have a chat with you.
Oh, so nice. I'm very excited for this podcast and to have the opportunity to ask you a ton of questions because I'm sure there will be a lot of valuable insights from you. I know you're very well known in a lot of communities, and I've seen a lot of your posts, and so that's why I'm very excited to dig in a little bit more here. So thank you again. So to get started, I would love to hear about where you initially started. Like, did you have a W-2? Did you have a regular job? And what you're focusing on today in real estate?
Yeah, so my W 2, I did have one, and I was working as a remote IT and cybersecurity consultant as an employee. And that job was going to go away. The leads pipeline was drying up, and the company was going to shut down. So I hurried up and bought a flip house because that was going to become my primary. I had a history doing construction, so, back to what I know, and never flipped a house. That's just my first foray into it.
Hmm.
And so I budgeted based on me doing all the work. Then they got a couple more contracts, and it was more profitable for me to stay W 2. But now I'm under budgeted for the flip, and it's like world's longest flip award goes to me. What a loser. Bittersweet. But then again, same situation came back around later, and it's the company's going to dry up and go away. So I had a deadline ticking that I had to leave W 2 anyways.
Hmm.
And so there's my old YouTube videos you'd see taped to the wall. It's like June 2022 was my hard cutoff deadline. I'm not going to have W 2 one way or another. So we better get something going. And that's when I started Creative TC. I was already doing some of that, and I just formalized it into a company and got to go now or never.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I love that. I do remember your background and having that date. I always thought it was so cool that you're like, hey, here's the deadline. Like, this is it. Like, it's happening no matter what. So it's funny to see the progression since then, right? Because obviously your background has changed a little bit
Yeah,
since
now it's
having
bluer than
yeah,
it used to be.
right.
No.
So you mentioned like your title company or transaction coordinator. I was hoping that maybe you could expand on both of those.
Yeah, I have a history of building what hasn't been there for me. When it got down to the wire and I needed something from somebody or a service provider or something like that, I also make a pretty bad customer. I've got really high standards. Um, I don't know what to say except I build what's not there that doesn't meet my standards. So transaction coordination company started out with coordination because that didn't exist. That evolved pretty quickly to consulting because we added elements of underwriting and deal analysis and deal structuring. And so I'll still differentiate that a lot of people are still coordinators and not consultants. And so there's a difference. Understand the experience level of your person. As some of these coordinators get more and more experience and actually learn to structure deals, they are upgrading to a consultant grade as well. But there is a difference between an administrative assistant, which is a coordinator, and a consultant, which comes alongside and helps do the deal, restructure it, make it safe, etc.
Hmm.
So that's over 3.5 years old now, Creative TC in sync with that brand, Creative TC. TC can stand for multiple things. So I've got this whole empire built in my head with multiple companies that are TC. Transaction Consulting, title company's the new one. We just got that started this a month and a half ago.
Yeah, that's super exciting. I mean, obviously, we've seen the transaction coordination or consulting side of this grow, right? So I remember when you kind of first started it and then it getting bigger and bigger. And now everyone basically tags you anytime there's like a TC question or someone says, hey, I need a TC in creative finance. So I think that's super cool. So a lot of our listeners or viewers don't necessarily know what the role of a transaction coordinator or consultant is. Maybe they've bought real estate, like a single, like their primary home, and they knew they had to have people involved, but they really didn't understand the role or the significance of it. I was wondering if you could maybe highlight like why a transaction coordinator slash consultant is important, especially within creative finance.
Yeah, so starting with traditional real estate, most real estate agents, many, if not most, have a transaction coordinator. And that's where I'm talking about. They're an administrative assistant. They help with dates, deadlines, documents, etc., coordinating the transaction. That's behind the scenes. They'll reach out on behalf of the realtor to you and say, I need this from you, that from you. Here's this deadline. So they keep things going. That's transaction coordination. You can do that in wholesale real estate or real estate investing as well. But you'll, as the buyer, you would probably be hiring one to work for you directly rather than like an invisible person through an agent. The consulting, particularly when you get to creative finance transactions, which is anytime, I'll define that as anytime that non-bank financing is coming in, non-institutional funds. So if I'm buying Andrea's house on seller finance, or Liz, your house, and I'm taking over your loan payments, that's a pretty complex relationship that needs some navigation assistance, right? You and I have never done this before, or maybe it's only our fourth or fifth type of that deal. That requires somebody who's been there, done that, seen the best practices that can help you make informed decisions along the way. And that's where the creative coordination and or consultation comes in.
Yeah. And you said before that your main reason for starting this is because you weren't getting maybe the services at the level that you had in mind, right?
Yep, that's it. I mean, if everybody, anytime you ask a question, when I started, people could recite an answer that they had learned, but they didn't understand it themselves and they couldn't
Mhm.
justify it or explain it. And I'm like, this is not okay. Like, somebody knows the reason for this answer. And when I went to dig, I found a lot of those canned answers were incorrect in their
Right.
entirety.
Hmm. Yeah. I have so many questions about this, but before we before we dig into this a little bit more, can you also just do a high level of the importance of maybe a title company? I know personally for myself, even when I first started purchasing real estate, I was like, I don't really understand what they do, or like what is the role, right? So can you explain that too?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question to zero in on. A title company or closing attorney, whatever state you're in, their job is to run a title search. So when you're buying and selling a property, I'm going to buy Andrea's property. I want to know, does she have a solar lien on it or something else? Has she been to court and got a judgment that's attached to the property, so that if we say the purchase price is $500,000 and her loan is 400 and she has a judgment for 125, well, stink. That's not a deal anymore because the total debt on the property exceeds the sale price that we did. So a title search will reveal ownership and verify that Andrea is the one selling to me. Like, she actually has the authority to sell it. That's really important because if you give her money and she didn't have authority to sell and she runs off with it, that's where a lot of real estate fraud comes in. These fake sellers, they just get a fake ID and sell you a property. So we're going to validate who the person is. We're going to validate that public records grant them authority to sell the property, and that there's no like lost cousins or somebody else attached to the property. So it's title clearing, making sure that you can actually take the title to the property without unknown encumbrances that could come back and claim 50% of your house, or demand the house back or something like that. That's really, really important. That's what a title company does, is that title clearing. They also serve the escrow, which is, I explain escrow as documents in dollars. It's a container. I need a purchase contract. I need this deed signed. I need this release of liability, or release of lien. I need the new lender's documents signed. All the documents have to get signed from both sides and put them in the box. And we're going to check and make sure that everybody signed everything the right way. And then I need the dollars to come into the box too. Nobody gets anything until I, as an independent third party, capture the documents and verify they're accurate, capture the dollars, make sure the math adds up. Then I can settle everything out. I'll record the deed transfer. I'll record the loan release. I'll record the new loan that you come in with. And I'll send funds out to everybody and their mom.
So we kind of heard, the background of why you started your transaction consulting company, but where was the need identified for your title company? Because aren't title companies just like out there everywhere already?
Yeah. Do you ever see that clip from Parks and Rec where he's in the hardware store and the guy comes up, "Hi, sir," and he's like, "I know more than you."
Yes.
Okay. I feel like that at this point, because I've dug into why things are the way they are. I've actually read laws and regulations. And when I ask a title company, people, they're spouting the answers back without knowing the truth. And I'm like, yes, but you can do that. Well, it's some, I don't know, some weird answer that's not actually the truth. And I'm like, I know more than these people. I should be the one controlling these transactions. It feels a little cocky to say that, but consistently, I'm just, I should be in the driver's seat, not them.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. And so currently your title company is licensed in Colorado. Why is Colorado the first state? What's the background on that?
So we just raised $320,000 of capital Congratulations, yay, for the whole
Yes,
team that got on board. So I'm
that's
thankful
awesome.
for all those people. And that's the answer to your question is the reason I was able to raise funds is part of the business model is Colorado's a high purchase price state in general, like one of the higher states, which affects the title premium.
Mhm.
Okay, so if you buy a more expensive house, insurance costs more. So I make money as a title company. I make money on title insurance premium. So picking a higher price state is more dollars per transaction for me as well as a
Mhm.
business. So it just makes more sense that way. Also, the rate is 85%. If you didn't know, title companies in Colorado keep 85% of your title insurance premium. That's a pretty high sales commission. Sign me up, you
Wow.
know? So high purchase price, very active state. I've got a bunch of investor activity there from company number one. So it makes sense to start company number two and just, I guess, double dip if you want to call it that. But I do honestly, as a business person, ask myself, how many times can I get paid from the same transaction?
Mhm.
And I don't mean it double dipping in a negative way, but if they trust me for segment A, why wouldn't they also trust me for segment B? If I'm really the best, like I believe I am, then it'll prove out pretty quick.
Yeah, that makes, oh my goodness, so much sense. So I know you started in Colorado. Like, what's your definition of success for this first year of your title company? And are you going to expand?
You should have asked me that on my capital raise calls. That would have been a good challenging question at the time. So our target this year is around 500 some odd transactions. It's between 5 and 600 transactions for the first year. So we're in soft launch phase right now.
Mhm.
January is going to be our actual full launch. I hired a marketing consultant. We've got staff. We're running files already. We were running files before we finished raising capital, just to show that listen, this is not an experiment or an idea. It's actually in action. I'd love to have you guys come along. If you can't, I'm still going to do it. So we bootstrapped and then we're able to raise capital shortly after. But like 550 transactions this year.
Wow, that is so many. Oh my
It is.
goodness. That is a lot of, I'm just like thinking about, okay, 365 days of the year, but there's
I,
not even weekends you're
yeah,
not doing. Like, it's like multiple transactions a day. Like, that's
yeah.
in the first year.
We
Wow,
need to
that is
capture some portfolios.
that. Aha. That's cool. Okay. Are there a lot of portfolios in Colorado?
Um, I don't have a good answer for that.
Mhm.
I mean, yes, there are, but how active in selling portfolios? I haven't looked into the activity of selling
Mhm.
portfolios. I'm confident, though, that we can capture with investor deals. It's a land and expand business model. Land is we already have investor relationships, so we're going to double down on that and grow with investor relationships. And expand is now start getting realtors on board, now start getting lenders on board. But that's 12 to 18 months after we capture the investor community.
Gotcha. And so this is probably a dumb question, but is there any sort of like conflict of interest or anything that you have to disclose as you are part of the transaction consulting portion and potentially involved in the title company?
Yeah, they call it an AFBA, affiliated business arrangement. And so as long as I disclose in a transaction, that's part of your deal open or deal closing docs. FYI, ownership at company number two here also has ownership in this company, a stake in this, a stake in that. These are all the potential conflicts of interest, just so you're informed right now. So it goes hand in hand though, right? If you're using me, if you trust me for one, why not trust me for the other piece? So it shouldn't be a secret anyway. Like that's not my plan, but that's there to keep people from secretly double dipping. Like a lot of real estate brokers will have a stake in a title company. Well, they have to disclose that, and they can't. Like realtors can't steer a transaction. They can't provide undue influence to steer a transaction because it's the opportunity of a buyer and seller to choose any title company. That said, if I'm a broker who has a great reputation, do you trust my decisions? My like I have influence in this company. Why wouldn't you want to use that? You can choose anybody. Like I have to allow you that free choice. So you choose. I have a stake over here and I have control over the process.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Like the shrug. So I have a question about your transition from the W-2 to, starting these businesses, because obviously that's a completely different, avenue to go into. I wanted to see like what was your biggest barrier in starting these and going from a W-2?
I talked to a guy at my church yesterday. He works maintenance. And I said, there's a lot of times I just want to go back to a job where somebody else does all the acquisition of and just gives me a queue of work and I just crank some hand tools and listen to an audiobook or something. It is hard. For me, it's a challenge every day to figure out what to do. I'm a technical expert, so if you give me something, I'll master it.
Hmm.
But give me a blank slate, and I'm like, ugh, I'm all ideas, and execution is the hard part. So, what was your question? I think I started
You're,
answering it.
yeah, no, this is good. Like, just your biggest barrier.
Oh, yeah. Not knowing. That's it. Exactly it. It's not knowing what to do day to day. I know what the big picture looks like,
Hmm.
but figuring out what to do day to day, working backwards from that 2 years from now. Like I'm a 6 to 12 month planner, not a 5 year visionary. I don't see very clearly. I've got short term vision, not long term vision. Everything's really fuzzy way out there.
Hmm.
So when somebody makes me plan 3 to 5 years out, I'm like, yeah, this. I know
Yeah.
what's the next 6 to 12 months, and even then, knowing what the next 6 to 12 months is, but not down to the daily level, I find myself busy but not productive. And everybody does this, but that's the biggest challenge as a business owner. I owe it to my employees to get my stuff figured out and to delegate work so that I can work on what's most important, because it's really easy to work second string problems instead of top tier problems.
Hmm.
And you're successful working that
Hmm.
way, but you don't grow the way you want it to.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. And kind of off topic here, but something that I think that speaks to your background well is I feel like you try to hire people that have a lot high standard of ethics and that your
Oh yeah.
excuse me, company works on that level as well. And I think it sounds like it's very important to you just based on your posts and things that I've read on social media
That is not
that
off topic, by the way. That is
yeah,
100%
that
on topic. That's a core of success. That's a pillar.
Okay, thank you. But that everyone operate at that level, right? Which I certainly value, and I know a lot of other people do because there are a lot of bad actors in real estate. So I'm wondering if you can just comment on that.
Company wise and recruiting wise, I want people with good independent judgment. When I tell, how do I even say this? When we hire people, they're getting to the final interview, and I'm saying, listen, you got this far because it looks like you've got a history of good judgment. If we hire you, I'm going to expect you to exercise that judgment on a day to day basis. We
Hmm.
hire adults who act like adults, who don't need to be policed. If we have to police you, you won't be here. I,
Yeah,
and I expect you to uphold our values. And that's not something you turn on and turn off. We have 5 core values. I'm not changing it between the companies. It's take initiative and be resourceful, advocate for the client, be relatable, lead with lead with value, and exhibit attention to detail. It spells table. I didn't want to do exhibit, but whatever. But it's those 5 core values, and you're living those out on a day to day basis, right? And if you truly embody those values, it all comes down to that for me. If you truly embody those values and you fall short on one of the others will make up for it,
hmm,
right? So take initiative and be resourceful would make up for a lack of attention to detail in some cases. But if you fall in both, it becomes pretty apparent. And if you don't
yeah,
exhibit, if you're not that person, if you're not one of our table people, you can't stay at the table.
yeah.
It's not going to work out.
No, that's good. That's good. I'm so glad that you have that standard. And I think it makes a huge difference, obviously, because people want people that they trust, right? They
And
don't
so
want
do
people that are,
coworkers. Coworkers
yeah,
want to be on the same level as their employees. They all want to have this shared environment that's pure, clean, and safe as well.
right. And then you obviously have standards for the deals that you guys will complete as well, right? It's not
Yeah.
like someone says, "Hey, I have this creative finance deal, like you guys can TC it and like we're all good." Like you're going through and being like, "Yeah, no, we might not TC
Yeah.
this deal."
You kind of have to apply. I mean, it's 90+% of that comes to us is fine, but people get a little too creative sometimes. Whether it's a matter of complexity, and I'm like, this deal's gonna fall apart. If you want to
Yeah.
restructure it, I'll work it. I'll show you how to restructure it. If you can do that, we'll work it. But if not, no thanks. There's also the ethical and legal boundaries where people are too creative on the legal side of things.
Yeah. I feel like that'd be a very difficult job to have all these coming in. Like, yeah,
As far as
no,
I've seen, everybody else says yes.
no comment. Yeah. So I know that you probably have 10,000 answers to this question, but I'm super curious. So throughout your real estate journey and what you're focusing on now, what is something that you wish you would have known when you first started?
leverage the trash out of your W 2 to acquire and refinance into whatever good rates available. I didn't leverage that. I sat on assets. I could have refinanced down when I had a 4% rate. I could have gotten down to like a 2.5. The difference that would have made in over a 30-year period. It was just too inconvenient. And I didn't do it.
That's fair.
So,
That's fair.
particularly to this audience here, leverage your W 2. Don't be so anxious to leave it that you don't take advantage of it before you do. Buy investment properties. Whatever your angle is, right? Use the
Mhm.
capital to invest. Find out, man, talk with other people who've already done this as well. Tell them your story and ask what opportunities am I missing before I jump ship and quit the W 2.
Mhm. And what about specifically within creating the title company? Is there a lesson that you learned that you wish you would have known when you first started that?
It's been, I mean, I can't even think that far back. It's been over a year. I didn't
Uh-huh.
start the title company until I was able to hand off management of the first company so that it's delegation rather than abdication. I wanted to start a title company for a long time. I only started working on underwriting, making offers on them a year and a half ago.
Hmm.
And I made offers on 6, maybe more title companies. One of them on repeat, just different types of offers, and it didn't work out. I looked at 2 partnerships. I looked at 2, what do you call them, franchises. I mean, none of that all worked out, and that's fine. That was just part of the journey. And while I was in the partnership route, I was like, I'm going to get started one way or another. I'm going to go ahead and start the LLC and start getting it licensed, which takes forever.
Hmm.
But every lesson I've learned along the way has been valuable. So I'm not at a point right now where I'm like, I wish I knew that would have saved me a lot of time. That was just, it's so far everything has just been part of the natural journey.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense too. And then what about your like own real estate portfolio? Are you focused solely on building and growing these businesses, or are you also trying to acquire properties and whatever that may look like?
Not actively. If it's bittersweet, right? A screaming deal comes across my plate. A screaming deal meaning low entry fee, not necessarily great cash flow. So there's different definitions of screaming deals. An easy to walk into deal is what I mean. I've got a couple of those, but they're dispersed around the country, and so the what is it? The technical debt that comes along with like a distributed portfolio. I've got 4 rentals, so don't take it the wrong way. Like I've got this huge portfolio all over the place. Don't do that. Focus in one area. I the deals I picked up were low entry, no equity, and so they're paying down, which is cool, and it's great for my 15, 20-year game. They're basically retirement accounts just sitting there growing slowly, which is cool, but that's not building good cash flow, and it's a distraction. Whenever there's an issue, everything's a one-off. Everything's a one-off, and it's so inefficient. Don't do that to yourself. If you have the opportunity to say no to something that's not in your buy box, do it.
Yeah. It's funny. We've talked to a lot of people about one-off single-family homes or things like that. That maybe we have some. I don't want to say regrets, but we've learned lessons buying. How's
Yeah,
that?
I can't say it's a regret, but it's also fair to say that maybe I'm on the other side of it. It's grass is greener on the other side because I wouldn't have them if I didn't get them. I wouldn't be able to make this complaint if I didn't already have the houses. And if I didn't have the houses, I don't know where I'd be otherwise. So maybe that's just part of the journey is you get started with what you can, then you learn and you get better and you start getting picky. And maybe that's a natural path that's just fine.
Yeah, I like that though. And I'm going to take that for both me and Liz because we both have done kind of similar things where we're like, okay, maybe that wasn't the right move. But now we are on the other side of it and we're
Yeah.
learning from those things as well.
Life is a beautiful mess. It kind of comes to mind, right? But
Yeah.
we're making progress, and we can optimize later. If I could have chosen deals, if I could have been a little more picky, I would have gone with something that had enough equity that I could sell it off sooner so that I could consolidate.
Yeah. No, that makes a ton of sense. I didn't realize the consolidation piece would be as important for me also because I had these big grand visions of owning tons and tons of real estate. And now I'm like, oh, consolidation might be a good idea.
Portfolio shop portfolios. I'm telling you, I would look for a portfolio personally, have been a little bit, because of the efficiency of scale. And it's like, if I find the right portfolio, guess where my market is? That's my new market.
Mm,
Now
yeah,
that I own a title company in Colorado, that sounds pretty great, but that's a pretty high purchase price. So that's going to be a little harder to step into.
definitely. Yeah. Well, so, you've kind of already touched on this a little bit, but I'm curious because the W-2 world is so different from being an entrepreneur. And I'm wondering if you've developed any habits or routines to get yourself like, still focused on your goals and productive rather than the busy kind of thing that you were touching on a little bit earlier with Liz.
I'm not one of those Instagram influencers who has a morning routine at like every day is a struggle for me. And I feel like I'm hiking to school in 3 feet of snow, uphill, both directions. It's just hard. It is hard and it's a grind. I love it. I enjoy it, but I'm tired. And every Friday, I'm like, how much stuff did I not get? It's already Friday. How much did I not get done? That's the curse.
Yeah, that's funny to me. So many people are like, "Oh, I do this, and then this, and then this." Like, I do a cold plunge, and then I drink my coffee and
You know,
meditate. And I'm like,
I read the Bible most days. I'm not
yeah,
perfect on that, but I read the Bible most days, and those days are better than the days I don't. And we get to work. I don't want this to come across like every day's hard and just torture
right.
to work. I enjoy the work, but it doesn't come naturally. I like staying busy. So that's the fight, is being busy versus being productive. Saying no to the
Hmm.
things that are easy. Like, it's easy to answer emails literally all day. All day I could answer emails. There's enough emails, I could generate content, etc. That's not productive.
Yeah. I think a lot of us fall into that trap, right?
Yeah,
Where at the end of the day, you're like, "Oh, I did so much." And you're like, "Wait, but that wasn't actually helpful in moving my goal forward." Or
right.
maybe that
And
could have been delegated to someone else.
and as an employee, that's okay to do that. You can just answer emails all day. That's my job.
Yeah. But not when you're trying to like lead the whole thing and expand and manage everything. And yeah, I can't imagine how many emails you get. Like, I can't even imagine. Just the sheer number of people that tag you on social media, like that could be a whole job just being like
It is.
you were mentioned in
It
a comment
is.
again. Like,
I have my sales guy is has my Facebook Messenger. He just lets me know when a real personal message comes in. Otherwise, if you talk to Caleb on Facebook through Messenger, it's probably not actually me.
ooh.
It's not like a whole job. I mean, I see the messages. It's not like a whole job, but that's one of the aspects of his job. I've got a marketing guy who's full time. He's doing podcast outreach for me and handling all those communications. And my wife showed me this post of me and my family as cartoons very recently on Instagram. It was real cute. Every one of us was dressed up, had Creative TC garb on, and it was cool. She's like, "That's so cool," and I'm like, "What is it?" She's like, "What do you mean? What is it? It's on your page. You posted it." I'm like, "I didn't post it. My social media." "Oh, that is a cool one. That's really cool." Yeah. So yeah, and then my inbox. I've got a chief of staff, and she has access to my inbox. She can reply as her. She can reply as me. There's a lot of stuff that happens that's just delegation.
Yeah. But you need to do that, right? But
Yeah, you have to.
that's when you know I don't say you've made it, but it's like you have someone else
I wouldn't
being
say I've made
you.
it,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I do have
Oh.
trusted people who represent are one of my facets. You
Mhm.
ever, like, I think of this, I use this in Bible teaching, the facets of a diamond. Each cut you make is a new window, which adds more light and makes the other windows or facets more beautiful as well. Like, every time you cut a new facet, the right way at least, it just adds to the beauty of the diamond. And so biblical concepts are like that, because every time you look at this concept or a theological point from a different angle, it starts adding to the perspective. But it's the same way with other people becoming facets of me. Like
Mhm.
Keanu, my marketing guy, he's got a little bit of his own personality. My sales guy has his own personality. Each one of these, but they're in line. They're in alignment with my core values, and
Yeah.
so it's still every day's like, I just sent a screenshot. No judgment, but there's a screenshot from, just anybody, any one of them, anytime. Like, hey, FYI, this would have been a better way to do that for next time. Okay,
Mhm.
cool. Thumbs
Mhm.
up and move on. Like, we're not getting stuck on anything. This is more like me than what you posted, FYI.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And it just gets better and better every day.
Yeah. No, that's super smart. I'm just envisioning because obviously Andrea and I have such different personalities and the way that we respond to things, and so we would have a lot of difficulty if I like try to take over for Andrea because I just like don't talk like her or communicate in her way like hey lady like, who what so I just it's such an interesting concept, right? But it totally makes sense as long as you have like the same goals and overarching background of what you want to achieve and how to achieve that. I can see how that all works in unison. So I love that you give them feedback too.
So we use Google Workspace. You can let someone respond as you or on behalf of you as themselves. So Sarah, my chief of staff, uses her own judgment. She's got good judgment, right? Or she wouldn't be there. And so sometimes she responds to somebody on my behalf so that it's just so clean and natural. But other times she responds and it still says Sarah Hoyle, chief of staff on behalf of Caleb Christopher, and it's appropriate depending upon who's talking or what the topic is.
Yeah, for sure. Very cool. I like getting all these like behind the scenes info, right? So another question I have is obviously, as Andrea mentioned earlier, both herself and me are pharmacists, right? And so a lot of our colleagues and like younger individuals who are either going to like pharmacy school, med school, whatever, I think that they're still in the journey of like trying to discover their financial independence or what this looks like, if they want to buy real estate, if they want to make passive money, just like figuring things out, right? It's a journey to figure
Yeah.
out what you want and how to achieve that. So my question to you is, with your experience, what type of advice would you give to someone that's like starting their financial independence journey in like 30 seconds?
Give me a little more context though. Are they low, mid, high income?
It can be anything that you want. Let's do two different ones though. So
It's going to be
let's
a different
say,
answer for each
yeah,
one.
I know. So let's say this is someone low income in college. Like they're just starting college and they're trying to figure out what they want to do with their life, but they don't know anything about finances.
Okay. Just getting started, low finance, low income, get whatever W 2 job. Like, go figure out what it takes to get a bank loan. Go qualify for a bank loan and buy whatever house you can get your hands on. Because even if you're not smart financially, it's buy real estate and wait. And so get into a house, start paying it down, rent out rooms, whatever method you want, but acquire a house. And if you have the opportunity to do that again, do it again and leave the first one as a rental. You've just built a retirement account for yourself. If you do nothing else in life, you have two houses, you've got a retirement account, and you've got a safety net. Do that and never sell.
Yes. Yes. This echoes someone that we just interviewed yesterday,
It's as simple a
Alex.
plan as you can possibly have to be like it's a default safe position. You can grow from there. It's a great foundation.
Yeah, perfect. And then the second scenario would be, let's say myself, let's say I'm a pharmacist or maybe not even a higher income job, but I'm in my like late 30s. Maybe you're not happy with your job and you're trying to figure out, hey, maybe how can I make passive income or do something else so that I'm not stuck at this job forever?
Yeah, there's a couple of routes here. I'm going to pick one. I'm just going to pick one. The riskier route is to get actively involved where you've got two lines. So you can do that if you've got the drive to go start doing projects like flips or something like that. The easier route would be to fund other people, but it's also got the risk of them being idiots. So it's hard to trust other people, and a lot of times you're proven right to not trust somebody. The person with the money should have all the control, but my concern is when people. All right, I should start over because I'm going to ramble. I just don't like telling people go invest with other people if they don't understand it well. What is it? The Richest Man in Babylon, I think, was a book, and it talked about investing in things you don't understand is the easiest way to fail and lose money. I would buy real estate for myself. If I don't learn the business, buy real estate is a place to park money. Think of it that way. If I buy a house, it's a savings account, it's an annuity, something along those lines. It grows in equity, but you need to buy something that you can put to a property manager. It's a great place to park money, to reduce taxes, but you need to get strategic about taxes there.
Hmm.
That was a really not concise answer.
No, you hit on a lot of things though,
There's
and
so
I
many
think
things to talk about,
I
though. It's so
know, I know.
individual.
I
Sorry.
know. It's not fair. I ask a super vague question and expect you to give a very precise, specific answer, right? But that's kind of the point because you said something that I super value too, is that you really need to understand what you're investing in, right? And then you run the risk of the person that you give money to also being an idiot.
Yeah, I mean, I lost
So,
10K on weed.
okay, edit that out. Okay.
Yeah. No. So somebody said, "Hey, look, we're going to make 3x our money on this. We're starting a hemp farm in Kansas." Okay, cool. Showed me the numbers. I looked at a pro farm and was like, "Yeah, take my money."
Yeah.
I didn't vet anything. I trusted the person who brought me the deal to have vetted this. The guy was a first year farmer, not the guy that brought me, the guy who did the deal or didn't. He used all the money to buy expensive farming equipment, which he kept. Then he did a crap job farming because he'd never done it before. He harvested stuff the wrong way so that it couldn't be, but that was our crop. That's what we were entitled to, was the profits from that crop. Meanwhile, he keeps the equipment. Like, really terrible deal. Every one of us lost all of our money, and some of them spent more chasing it. I know not to spend on, don't throw good money after bad. But yeah, I lost $10,000 on because I didn't understand how to evaluate the business opportunity.
Yeah, I think that's huge because so many times people are like, well, just partner with someone. But to your point, I have always felt super uncomfortable just being like, oh, okay, I'll trust you. Like, I want to know the ins and outs, like everything about everything before I'm like, okay, yeah, I will partner with you because now I understand everything too. Because to your point, people will be like, oh, here's my money. Yeah, I'm in real estate. Like, but do you understand like what they're doing? Like, do you understand what's happening right now behind the scenes? Like, no. Like, oh, that hurts. Like
It
that
works
hurts
until
me.
it doesn't.
Right. Right. No, I
Yeah.
yes, I think that's so important that people understand. And then I have another burning question. Can you tell us like the biggest like uh-ohs that you can see in transaction coordinating? Like maybe like a deal where you're like, holy crap, that would have been so bad if like we didn't catch this.
Yeah. Particularly in creative finance and sub twos, people are saying that some people will say that trusts are the best way, the only way to buy or close on these deals. I disagree. There's a best way for everybody. Everything depends on your situation and your knowledge level. So the holy crap moment is somebody sold the trusteeship of a property, not the beneficial interest. For those that don't know, trustee holds title to a property in trust. They're like the manager. They sold a job. What was bought was the job of managing the entity that owns the property. The beneficial interest, where the money goes to, the profits, was still the seller. So the seller sold the trusteeship, not realizing they thought that's ownership of the house. Well, no, that's not. Ownership and beneficial interest are not the same thing. The buyer bought the ownership of the house, but that did not entitle them to the income from it or give them the power of direction. They actually have to, the trustee has to follow the instructions of the beneficiary. So just a complete cluster. And it cleared up very quickly when I explained everything, but idiots. The, you, it's the transaction's totally upside down. I don't know what else to say. So the danger, my rebuttal to people who say trusts are the best way, the only way to buy, that's not true if you don't understand how to run a trust, how to manage a trust, and the legal implications that come along with it, and how to communicate correctly and sign as the right entity or role. You can bust privacy. You can incur liability. Buying, if you don't understand anything about corporate governance, buy it in your personal name and get an umbrella policy. If you understand the basics and LLC is the next level up, that's a great way to do it. You still have to sign the right way as manager or member, depending upon you. But that's where people get confused as well. And then the trust is just another layer on top because usually people mix LLCs as the entities within inside of a trust. And then they have the trust itself. And are you signing as trustee? Are you signing as the beneficiary? Is the trustee an LLC or is it you individually? Like, you can get real confused real fast. And so you need to use what works, what you understand.
Wow. Was that transaction that you were just highlighting closed? Like, did they close it and you had to undo?
Yeah, it was already closed when I found it. I'm like, hey, you just bought the job, not the property. Not you didn't buy a rental. Like, you get no income here. What? Yeah, we can help you with some corrective documents, but Oh man.
Wow. Yeah, this goes back to why you have a title company too, because I'm sure that wouldn't happen.
Yeah. Well, and the title company just follows instructions. Hey, John's going to buy this property. We're doing it in a trust. Okay, cool. You just tell us what names go where and we'll close it. That's what happened. Title company just followed instructions.
Oh my,
These people, meanwhile, did the deal upside down.
that's crazy. Yeah, wow. Well, good reminder to stick with what you know, or at least have someone explain it, like a transaction consultant if you don't. um, Definitely a good one. So, thinking about, we're talking all about the hustle that you've had with these two companies and everything. And Liz and I both like to travel, explore, and have some fun while we're building things on the side as well. So, wondering if you have any upcoming bucket list travel adventures, anything in the next couple of years or so that you're looking forward to.
Mm. We bought an RV, a 20-year-old RV, because I got 4 kids. So it's 6 of us traveling. And that's what we do. When there's a work trip to a destination anywhere close to somewhere we'd like to go and the weather's fair, we just all buckle up and make it a trip.
That's awesome. Are you going to be taking the whole family to Miami or?
In January, no.
Yeah.
I don't need my 12-year-old looking at, even in the cold weather, women walking around and who knows what.
So, where's
Clothes.
your next one that you're planning?
Uh, I don't know. I don't have it planned out yet. When I see it, we'll pick it and double down. Obviously, I'll be in Colorado a lot more in the near future, so I might take my older kid with me on a day trip sometime just to make it a trip.
I like it. Where are you based out of right now?
Kansas City.
Yeah, okay, all right. So a little bit different scenery with Colorado and Kansas City.
Yeah.
Just a little, just a little.
I mean, my kid, we just got a shotgun. My kid stepped outside and shot a goose. He heard him coming, ran outside. He's got a permit. He shot a goose, and now he's going to cook a roast goose for us this week.
Huh.
So
Yeah,
we're out
yeah,
we're
yeah,
outside city limits, and so like I like where we live, but
yeah.
that was just to illustrate like it's we like where we're at.
That's fair. I like it. And then I know we've talked about like your title company, transaction coordinating. What are your immediate needs right now that maybe community members or anyone listening could help you with?
I need a Denver local sales rep from the title company. That's something
Okay.
I need. By the way, before I keep thinking about this, I have my name is calebchristopher.io. That's because if you go there, there's a newsletter. So for the people wondering what it's like to own rentals and whatnot, I post my profits and my losses. And so I've had multiple lossy months in a row. I'm on a profit streak right now. Yay for me. But there will be a time when tenants are out of 2 units at the same time and I'm negative $1,400 a month. It does happen. That's part of
Okay.
owning and operating rental properties. And if you want to see business portfolio profits and losses and there's no guru talk. It's just the straight numbers. Here's what happened. Here's the trend I'm seeing. Here's my recent lessons learned. A monthly newsletter.
Yeah, I love the transparency. And going back to the Colorado sales rep, what type of individual are you looking for with what types of qualifications?
I'm looking for somebody who has title sales experience explicitly. So if they've sold title services to other people, that's the person I need. So
Okay, perfect.
I'm also, this is interesting from an entrepreneur perspective. I had combined business development and sales in my head. Conversationally, they can be at a high level, but when it gets down to job descriptions, business development is building relationships that result in business coming in, and sales is actually closing those deals. I mean, business development will close deals as well, but it's more going to events, shaking hands, meeting people, hosting dinners and events, whereas the salesperson is getting on the phone, meeting with people, and finding a way to actually close individual deals. I didn't realize that until I was looking at the duties that I have the highest value for. My value is more on business development than it is on sales.
That's fair. So are you planning on having two separate positions then to
As
do
we
both of
grow,
those?
yes. So
Yes, okay.
the sales rep could grow into business development. But for now, I'm business development, and the sales rep would be following up on leads, closing deals, maybe having an appointment setter work with them.
Okay, makes sense. And then for anyone listening or viewing, what is the best way to get in contact with you if they want to submit a deal to be TC'd or consulted, or if they want to have a title company in Colorado?
That would be calebchristopher.io. You can reach me directly from there. You get the newsletter. It comes with my email address and my phone number. Other than that, we've got creativetc.io for the consulting and creativetitle.io for the title company.
Oh, nice. I like how you have everything very streamlined. It sounds very nice. Not surprising.
It was easier to buy the IOs. My next company is going to be Transaction Capital, so it'll still be Creative T. Everything is Creative TC, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So Creative Transaction Capital, Creative Title Company, Creative Training Company, they're all on the horizon. They'll all be there soon.
I love that. I love that. Well, we have learned so much from you today, and we really appreciate your time and willingness to come on the podcast. So thank you so much. And then everyone else, thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of From Corporate to Cashflow. We will catch you next week. Hey, it's Andrea. Thanks so much for listening to this episode. If you liked it, I'd love it if you hit subscribe. Thanks so much.